So guys, today we're going to learn inverse variation. And it is a relation that's represented by these equations. I want you guys to just focus on this one right here. X times y equals k. Now, what would I do if I want to get y by itself? What would I do? Good, divide by x. So that would cancel out. Do you guys see how it becomes this equation? Yes? They're all the same. All three of these equations are the same. What if I wanted to get x by itself? What would I do? Divide by y. Do you guys see how that's this equation? Okay, so it's the same equation, it's just different formats. Okay, let's just make it easy on ourselves and just memorize one of them. Because if you memorize this first one, you can easily get the other ones. Okay, so guys, this is the inverse variation function. X times y equals k. So let's look at the first example. It's asking, is the relationship in the table, is it inverse or not? So I'm going to start with example B. Grab a calculator. If you don't have one, turn it on. What is 0.2 times 40? We're doing x times y. 8. What is 0.5 times 16? 8. What is 1 times 8? What is 2 times 4? Do you guys see how whenever I did x times y, I got the same k value? I got 8 every time. This is called an inverse variation. You can say x and y vary inversely. You can also say it like that. X and y have an inverse relationship, okay? Notice, guys, as the x values get bigger, what happened to the y values? They got smaller, okay? That's an inverse relationship. One side gets bigger, the other one gets smaller. As one side gets small, the other side gets big. That's an inverse relationship. Right here, just looking at the numbers, the x values are getting bigger every time. What's happening to the y values? They're also getting bigger. That's not an inverse relationship. They need to be going in opposite directions, one big and one small. Okay, but let's do an example. Let's still do this. What is 0.2 times 8? 1.6. What is 0.5 times 20? Good, I heard someone say it, 10. What's 1 times 40? You guys see how we're getting a different number every time? This is not an inverse relationship. You're supposed to get x times y gives you k, the same number k every time, okay? So we're gonna put not inverse variation for this example. They are not inverse relationship. They don't have an inverse relationship. Okay, let's look at another example. Let's look here. We're supposing that x and y varies inversely. So we're supposing that this equation works, x times y equals k. That no matter what x is and what y is, you're going to get the same number k every time because they're telling us it varies inversely. So guys, let's use that equation. X times y will give you k. And in this problem, they're saying that x is 2 and y is negative 3. So that's what I'm going to plug in. For x, I'm going to plug in negative 2. For y, I'm going to plug in negative 3. So guys, what is my k value? Oh, that's a positive 2. Negative 6. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Okay, so that's my equation. We found out what k was. So my equation is x times y will give you negative 6 every time. Okay, now it says what function models the inverse variation? When it says what is the function, that means like f of x equals, and you have an equation. So guys, let's get y by itself. What should I do? Yep, divide by x. That's your equation. So the function is y equals negative 6 over x, or you can do function notation, which is f of x equals negative 6 over x. Both of these are right. They mean the same thing. It just wants the equation. If it wants the equation, all you have to do is figure out what K is and put it in the equation. Okay, the next part of the question, it says, what is Y when X is -5? So let's use our equation again. They're telling us that X is -5. So guys, we're gonna plug in a -5 here. And just simplify it. This is a number. -6 over -5 is just +6 over 5. Can also put it as a decimal, 1.2. Okay, number 3. I'm sorry, letter B. If Y varies inversely, you see that word inversely again, that means we're gonna have the same equation, X times Y equals K. Now it's a little bit different this time. It says Y varies inversely with the square of X. What does square mean? Yep, so I'm gonna put a squared right there. It says the square of X, so this is our equation. Okay, now let's figure out what K is. These are the numbers they gave us. X is 3. So guys, in my equation, I'll put a 3 where the X is. We're squaring it. They said Y is 7 over 15. So I'll put that there. 7 over 15. We're multiplying them. And we'll figure out what K is. So guys, what's 3 squared? 9. So we're going to replace this 3 squared with a 9. And do you guys know how to multiply fractions? What do? Just multiply across. You can turn it into a fraction by putting 1 in the denominator, if you please. What's 9 times 7? 63. 1 times 15 is 15. So this is our K value. However, let's simplify. These both can be divided by 3. So 63 divided by 3 is 21. And 15 divided by 3 is 5. Okay, so this is our K value. All right, so let's make our equation. It's always X times Y equals K. And your K is 21 over 5. Oh, but we're squaring it. It says square of X. So add a little squared to our equation. Okay, now let's answer the question. Find Y if X is 5. So I'm going to replace this X and put a 5 there. What's 5 squared? So this will be 25Y equals 21 over 5. I want Y by itself. It says find Y. Good. So guys, look. Divide by 25. Everyone draw that. Draw this division line and put 25. This cancels. Guys, do y'all see this division line here? Where should I put the 25? They need a match. Yes, you see how this 25 is in the bottom? Put the 25 in the bottom, in the denominator. Sides need to match. Do the same thing to both sides. Okay, let's calculate what we have. We have Y equals 21 is in the numerator. 5 times 25 is 125. That's your answer. Next one. This is our last example. So a recent hurricane left debris around the neighborhoods near your school. The table below shows the time T in minutes that it takes a group of N students to remove the debris from an average sized yard. So guys, notice this is an inverse relationship because the more students you have, the less time it takes to clean up the yard, right? If it's just one student, it takes 225 minutes. But if you have 5 students, it'll only take 45 minutes to clean the yard. So as one increases, the other one decreases. That's an inverse relationship. Okay, so the first question, what function models this? Guys, instead of N's and T's, I'm just going to do X and Y, okay? All right, so guys, we always use the same equation. X times Y gives you K. So guys, when you do X times Y, what's 1 times 225? Okay, use your calculator. What's 3 times 75? It's also 225. What's 5 times 45? 225. This last one doesn't work. Let's just cross it out. Okay, so you're gonna get 225 every time. So that means my equation, whenever you do X times Y, it's always 225. Now, what do I do to solve for Y? Divide by X. Okay, that's your equation. Y equals 225 divided by X. And since they did say the word function, you can write it in function notation. So you can write it as f of x instead of a y. Okay, so now it says how many students should there be to clear debris from an average sized yard? And at most 25 minutes. Okay, well guys, this is our equation. Y equals 225 over x. And we said time in minutes, we're representing it by y. So the time is 25 minutes. So I'll just put a 25 there. All right, guys. We want x by itself. You see, guys, how this is being divided by x? What's the opposite of dividing by x? So guys, go ahead and multiply both sides by x. Now it's not in the denominator. It's kind of weird having x in the denominator. So just go ahead and multiply both sides by x. Guys, what's 25 times x? Just 25x. And 225. Now what do I do to get x by itself? Yep, divide by 25. Okay, so that means 225 divided by 25 is 9. So that means it takes 9 students to clean up the yard in 25 minutes. So if I have 9 students, it'll take 25 minutes. And add that to the table. All right, so guys, those are pretty much your examples. I always get a question on this one. So this one. Okay, so guys, again, you always use the inverse equation. X times Y gives you K. So guys, do they give you an X and a Y? Yeah. This is X, this is Y. This is X, this is Y. So guys, they gave you an X and a Y. So put that here. What's 3 times 2? That's your K. So this is our equation. X times Y will give you 6. It should give you 6 every time. That's our K value. Okay, well, this is the second point. They told us that X is 8. So I'm going to erase this X and put an 8 there. Now, can you solve for Y? Divide by 8. Divide by 8. So that means Y is 6/8. Can we simplify? Yep, divide by 2. So you get 3/4. Okay, so that's what goes here. You want to test it and make sure it's right? 3 times 2 gives you 6. Yay, that worked. When you multiply this X and Y, 8 times 3 over 4. 8 times 3 is 24. Divided by 4 is 6. You get 6 every time you multiply X and Y. So the missing Y was 3/4.